Okay, hey everybody. This is Grace, and the last couple of nights I've been a little down and blue. After the end of the day, and the house is quiet. People, everybody's asleep, including my fur babies, and I just will start to feel, like I said, a little down and blue. And I have a pretty good idea of why, what it's about. And that is just seeing so much just this year. And I've seen this since I was a child. These kinds of things. When people do things, they do, it's just despicable what they do. Okay. I had never in my life seen it as common as it is these days. Common. And I sometimes, I see why. People can get online, make videos, make posts, I had my first computer in 1982. I was at the beginning of all the social medias. When they didn't even have some of the ones that people use today, the big ones. I was online before then, doing social media, whatever it was back then. Some of it could have just, was just local, like just Dallas area or something, Dallas, Fort Worth or something like that. Anyway, but people can do that, and that is if not enough people who are on the other side of it, the people on the other side of it, the people on the good, decent people, if they don't speak out and speak up and make it known, then these things can just go, become a norm. They can become a norm. And you really don't want that. The people being so despicable. Well, some would say it's already become quite the norm. So what are you going to do? Just let it continue? I'm not telling anybody what to do or not to do anything. I don't give any kind of advice. I don't give any kind of suggestions, none of that. I'm just talking really to vent. I say I use my videos for venting, pressure release valve, and I do. But what I've seen lately, like I said, the last couple of nights I felt down and blue. And then today, I just feel it off and on. Because I know that this is, I know that I think anybody really would know, many people, not everybody, would know that, taking food away from the needy, that's pretty despicable. And by this I mean what I've seen lately is that the people who have the money to buy their groceries, have the money to feed, do food, clothing, shelter, and some of them living in nice homes, and they have jobs, and their spouses that are living there together have have jobs. Sorry, have jobs, both of them, and maybe even one of them has part-time because they have a love of money and going on. Maybe at least one, maybe allegedly. And all this, that they have the means, but they want to do things like save their money for, things like taking their kids on summer vacation and not having to spend their money. So they go to food banks, food pantries, food banks, where it's supposed to be for people in need that don't have those resources. Whatever reason, like single parents, disabled, elderly, people on fixed income, people who lost their jobs, so on and so forth, just having hard times. That's what the purpose is for, not the person who just wants to have extra money for like those vacations I mentioned. And, tattoos, cell phones that cost $1,000 to $2,000, $2,500, whatever, They need the latest. And no, it's not for them. is for the people who can't afford it. Yes, and I'm just so disgusted by seeing that, and seeing the justification, and then that whole thing of, you know, acting like an influencer and telling other people that they too can do it. You know, I read a bunch of stuff on it, and I like to read those AI, artificial intelligence overviews, AI overviews. You know, just search something on Google and comes up AI overview. And I did that for, my voice is sounding funny again. It's even weirder today. But, I looked it up, you know, asking the question, is it illegal to lie to a food bank about your income? And it said, first word was yes. Okay, it usually does that yes, comma, or no, comma. I don't think I've ever seen maybe, but this was more of a maybe, but it said yes, it can be illegal. It could be considered as fraud. And another one I read said something like, it's theft. Okay. And then you know, I read more than one, you know, because I asked a question in more than one way. And just to see, I like to see what it's going to say and how different it would be. And I would imagine, I think anybody can imagine that an AI, artificial intelligence, is, you know, is Google is going to be, find the right sources, credible sources, one would think. One can assume, but is it? I don't know. But I would think. So, yeah, you know, it could be illegal, and somebody's out there putting it out there. Oh, yeah, you can do this, and oh, do. So they could have money for other things for the family. I don't think, honestly, I do not think. In fact, I'm pretty much sure I can say I 100% know that your tattoos are not going to be benefiting the family. Dramatic pause. God, what nerve of some people. Oh my goodness, my goodness. And you know, you can read on some of these, and they say well, for some people it's a mental issue. Well, yeah, hello. You know, but some of it kind of tries to justify why people are doing this, like they're hoarders. Well, I wonder, I never read anywhere on any of them that try to justify it by saying people wanted to take their kids on vacation. So instead of spending their money at the grocery store, they go to food banks and cherry pick and get all the good protein and meat, especially. And then the rest of the stuff in little bits. One of them, oh my goodness. And it was more than one, actually. They posted what they call food bank hauls, HAULS, and one of them, like I said, just wasn't just the one, but had a whole bunch of snacks, different types of snacks. And you know, being a diabetic and knowing, you know, what I can't eat and why being the type that check the labels since labels come out of what nutrition facts, you know, just to get a good idea each and every thing I eat. Yeah, those things, that they have a lot of sugar, carbohydrates across the board. Some of them with a lot of sodium, and some of them even fats. Okay, not all of them have the same thing or the same amount or any of that. You know, it has it on the label. They're supposed to, on the package on the outside where you can see it. At least if it's from what I understand. Anyway, they would have a table full of snacks, these very sugary snacks, and they were so proud of it. Where's meal planning? And it was all about the snacks. And oh my goodness. I am definitely not a healthcare voice of authority on anything to do with healthcare at all. I just know about myself, and I have a rare health condition as it is, so I have to be more careful. But I don't think I just, wow, I could never see myself feeding anybody that much sugary stuff. Oh my goodness. I don't know how a person would survive it, but I'm not a healthcare provider, so I wouldn't know how somebody could survive. You know, that's what they're going to eat from one week to the next, or maybe 2 weeks to the next. It's still like, whoa, how many kids you have? They're 20? I'm being a little sarcastic. And this is something I'm not liking. I'm becoming more and more sarcastic the more and more I watch these. You know, like I said, maybe I'm going through another stages of grief, you know, of learning that it's just about, you know, it's about hitting rock bottom. You know, the whole society with all this selfishness, this narcissism, this a lot of it. And I know a lot of people, you know, I've tried to read from the I did read from the AI about Machiavellianism, and that is what I see a lot of. You know, the dark triad, or the dark tetrad too, when it's narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, and then the tetrad adds sadism. And these are very dark. These are very, you know, they can be. I mean, I would say that it put together is because it's very bad people. Okay, very deep and very dark, you know. But you can have people who are hinting at that. Well, they have those kinds of behaviors, and they're just hinting at them. They don't have them to the extreme, like on some kind of spectrum. They don't have it to the severe and beyond. You know, you can go beyond severe. And, but they still have them, and they still have that potential. Some would say everybody has that potential. But the amount of, that they're so deceptive, so dishonest, so, they don't care about anybody else. You know, much like a sociopath. Okay, that could be that. Well, I wouldn't say that psychopathy, but yeah, it would be sociopathy. But that whole bit of antisocial behaviors kind of thing. You know, some people say that antisocial personality disorder is sociopathy. It's, you know, somebody being a sociopath. I had never heard that until, I guess, this year, and I don't know if that's true, or if just somebody decided, hey, I'm going to put it out there, and people picked it up and ran with it. But that's not how I learned it, so I don't know. Yeah, in graduate school, no, that's not how I learned it. But undergraduate or graduate school, I was a career student over 20 years. But things change so much, you know what I'm saying? A lot. But anyway, just see. Let's get back to this. This seeing and feeling down. You know, it's just down. You know, it just saddens me, especially since my master's degree is in sociology. You know, my degrees are in psychology and sociology. I really want to know about the human condition, and, you know, studied a lot, and then to see it becoming so pathetic. Just I can't find the right words for it to show it as deep enough as how it's become. So deep, so dark, so despicable, so dog eat dog. I mean, dog eat, none of these are new, but it's just so, the word, just to say so. Can I say it like that to make it sound as dark, I mean, as bad as I'm trying to say it? make it sound. I'm not much of a histrionic, so I need to conjure up one here. Hey, I can go to my there anyway. Anyway, I could go to. There are plenty of people I know. They could do it with ease, and they're best actresses, you know, or actors. But really, I'm glad I get the few little bit of laughter, because I'm a cheerful person, as it is. I'm also mild-mannered, very mild-mannered. So I think this takes away from so much cheer to know there are people out there, whether it's, like I said, kids, or single parents trying to make it by. They can't get to the food banks, you know, when they first open. They have to work full-time, and they can't take any time off. And, you know, they get there, and all the stuff has been picked over, cherry-picked over, and what's left is crap, and this is what they have to feed their kids. You know, because somebody wants to go on vacation, or to buy a new watch. How about one of these new watches? Expensive ones. The cell phones. On and on. They just want the money in the bank. Another thing was that of, I want to fill up my deep freeze. This food needs to go to those children's mouths right now. Not your children. Apparently they have plenty. That you have it in the deep freeze. That deep freeze food needs to go back to that food bank, so the kids in need can have food. I mean, that's my opinion, and I'm just disgusted. People actually just, you know, they're that, like I said, it's that Machiavellianism, that whole centeredness on themselves, what they want, what is their personal gain, and not care about anybody else. Some would say that's also with narcissism and psychopathy, and the dark triad, and then the sadism, dark tetrad added. Whatever. I mean, I don't know about that one, but I'm at that age when I think about what is this world going to be, you know, from here on. When I'm not here, I won't know. But, you know, some people put it as though I want the world to be left better than when I came here. You know, something like that. But I think people, you know, anybody who's a good, decent person, people with a soul, people, you know, who have a heart, soul and mind, would say, I want to leave it like this. I cannot say that. And we all know, of course, we're not the only person who contributes to it in either way, any way. But, oof, I'm afraid what's here now is just, oh, goodness. Okay. Anyway, I was looking up at the sky thinking, oh, it's real windy, and then I saw clouds. It's now not formed the same way, but it looked like a dog running. Kind of looked like my dog had lost a couple months ago. Yeah. Anyway, oh, by the way, happy summer. Yep. Yesterday, last night, in the summer, so today's the first full day of summer. Anyway. But I'm telling you, the feeling, and I knew it because I had made a bunch of videos. Seriously, the last two, I'd say, maybe 3 or 4, maybe 3, I don't know, days. I made videos. Like I said, I use my channels to, well, for more purpose than that, you know, I do tell some stories, but, you know, fictional stories also. I mean, it was what I was mentioning, fiction also. But I or do shopping. That's got to be in there too. But I use it mainly when I do videos like this, I vent. And this I needed to vent so much. Honestly, I don't have them up. There are just so many. I wouldn't say so many. I would say less. Oh my goodness, I don't even know. I really don't know. But on my phone, probably 4 or 5, somewhere around there. And now this one. So, but I needed this just to get this, just to think it through and get off. I don't believe in bottling stuff up inside. And this was just so, at this point in my life, to see people who are doing that and to think this is the type that gets on social media and they become, some of them do actually become like, a bit of influencers. I have seen over all these years, 11, it will be 11 for me on my original channel, and 11 in August, 11 years, 11 of them. Can't stress it enough how much I've seen. Oh my gosh. I've just seen these things. I don't know. Kind of lost my train of thought there because I have just seen so much, and all these things are going flowing through my mind. The people who just get up there and they become influenced, like I was saying, and but they get to a point where they get stuck. Seriously, especially the ones that have somehow done somebody wrong, like, or some people wrong, like, the copycats, the reaction channels, the channels that they were reacting to, the charlatans, the e-beggars. These days, I think some people just throw it a whole under grifters. But they're the con or scammers, so, swindlers. I mean, so many words for it. I don't think you hear these days anybody call them, what is it, flim-flam or something? Oh, I think that came from my grandparents' age. Maybe what was that? The best generation, what is it? The greatest generation, wasn't it called? Something like that. Anyway, there's nothing new, these kind of things. I looked up some of the stuff, and just the words, and it would pop up. And the Bible says, seriously, like I look up a word, I wasn't looking in the Bible, but it would just pop up. The AI overview would just pop up. In the Bible, it says, like, I think smug was one of them. Haughty, Haughty, showed up that way first. I think that was the first one. And I don't know the other, like, the idioms. I like looking up idioms, like the blind leading the blind. What was the next one I looked up? Don't remember, but yeah. Why was I talking about this? I am telling you, I'm just saddened. I'm just so sad. And it makes being sad, and I know that's not a good thing, but see, I'm on this medication that causes tiredness as it is. It's a blood pressure medication, and I have to have it. At this point, I have to have it. They did have me on 2 at one time. Now I'm on 1 of that kind, and it causes tiredness. But with 2, oh man, I could barely. You couldn't get me to do anything. I mean, I would, but it would take all my energy. So I don't know about ever saying, I feel. This also causes me to feel tired, because no, it's something else. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Yeah, but I really am. I cannot see. I mean, I do think this is hitting rock bottom. The society is hitting rock bottom. And they become so addicted to themselves. You know, Narcissus. Looking in that pond or the lake. Some say pond, some say lake, by the way. And looking at it until they just became consumed. They become consumed by staring at themselves and thinking of themselves, and that's it. That's what's Narcissus. Yeah, read on it. Yeah. And I think that we're at that rock bottom, honestly. I found so very few people who are good, decent people. You know, I mean, I remember saying when I was younger, if you're in any way good, decent person, a kind person, sweet person, that people saw you as naive and they would take advantage of you. Well, we all know. It's what a lot of people think and a lot of people try to do now. It's kind of like it's the norm. Oh, they're this. Oh, we're going to take advantage of them. They're that stupid, and they'll blame them for what they're about to do to them, victimize them, because they're that stupid to be naive and be nice and kind. It's not how you make it in the world. God. But you know, if it's going to hit total rock bottom, I want to see it, and then I want to see it back, you know, bouncing back up. You know, where people are standing up and saying, no, we don't want this. The good, decent people take the stand and say no, and they're stern, firm. We're not allowing this. Jobs stop hiring people that have that, they're just so despicable. Go into a food bank. They got jobs, both family, both parents are there. They got jobs, they're making money. Maybe in that other part-time job, but they want that money, that extra money. They don't have to buy the groceries, pay for the groceries. They get them for free. And taking that out of children, disabled, elderly, people with medical needs, on and on. People just lost their job. Economy. They can't make it survive. No, you want to go on vacation. You want to take your kids on a vacation on that money. You want to get some tattoos on that money. Despicable. Like I said, read up on it. Ask your Google it. Is it illegal? Anyway, like I said, I was going to wrap this up. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.